being yourself is always the case. You're always yourself, no matter the activity, no matter what you do. You're always yourself if there are thoughts, if there are any unwanted thoughts. You're always yourself if there are emotions and feelings. Your selfness is always present. Your selfness includes everything that you experience. A deeper selfness, your deeper self, or we can say your pure self, is yourself which is not obscured and not colored by experience. Your pure self is the self which is not colored by thoughts, by emotions, not affected by energies in your experience. One thing that is always present, whether you are in your, we can say, ordinary self with thoughts, emotions, and feelings, energies, or whether you are in your pure self, one thing that is always present is that you are yourself. Now, the challenge, of course, is that in the ordinary self, we can say that there are unwanted aspects. And how do we find okayness with all that is? How do we find okayness with the present thoughts, with the present feelings, with the present energies, or even pain that might be experienced? To find this okayness with all that is here, it is to step a little bit back or a little bit above your involvement with the thoughts, with emotions, with energies. Even if one is at a higher consciousness and trying to find completeness or trying to find the last bit of awakening and so on, it is still the same thing, actually. It is something which is presently here, which is, so to speak, not supposed to be here. So okayness is recognizing that there is, we can say, someone here. And this someone is what you may define as the one who is engaged with thoughts, emotions, energies. And that someone is experiencing these wanted and unwanted activities, events. So as you place this someone just a little bit in front of you, you may recognize that it is okay what is being experienced, even if it's unwanted. It is also okay that it is unwanted. So we may say it is a larger acceptance of the isness of what is. Even if something is unpleasant, it already is, and thus in a larger context, it is also okay since it already is happening. So you see, the suffering is in the lower personality, in the lower self, which is experiencing the experience and resisting the experience, which is experiencing the experience and complaining and moaning and trying to avoid something unpleasant, trying to escape something unpleasant. And that resistance and avoidance or denial is actually contributing to the suffering itself. The resistance, avoidance, and denial is greatly contributing to the suffering itself. So therefore, no one has managed to escape suffering by avoiding, resisting, and denying that which is uncomfortable or challenging. So to go way round about it and to find the bigger okayness with what is first of all to acknowledge that there is avoidance, that there is a resistance, that there is a certain denial to that which is unwanted. And it's okay, since it already is, and that's okay. So on one part, it is okay that there is a resistance, denial, and avoidance. And on the other part, trying to soften the resistance or avoidance or denial removes the biggest layer of what is called suffering. So intrinsically, suffering, by definition, arises from resistance, avoidance, denial. There is nothing wrong in having a challenging moment. There is nothing wrong in having some anger. There is nothing wrong in experiencing that which is unwanted. So to find okayness, it's to recognize that there is nothing wrong with what you are experiencing, even if you perceive it as unwanted or wrong. There is nothing wrong in having this experience. This is called human experience. This is called being human. This is called being particularly the way that you are. This is nothing wrong to have your preferences and your personality. It's nothing wrong to have your unique problems. Now, there is an imprinted assumption in the society, part of the societal programming, that something is wrong, that you should be perfect, that you should not have this feeling or that feeling. And the social programming is very judgmental programming. I remember one event with Albert Einstein, that he was giving a lecture at a prestige university. And on the board, he he wrote down a sequence that 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4, 1 plus 4 is 5, and so on, and 1 plus 9 is 9. And suddenly, all the audience started laughing that he made a mistake, that 1 plus 9 is not 9, that it's 10. And his reply was that even though I was correct nine times out of 10, nobody has acknowledged that 9 times out of 10 I was correct. And that one little mistake, everybody has noticed and judged and laughed about it. So you see, 9 times out of 10, if you do things right, nobody will acknowledge that or have gratitude for that. But the one mistake you will make, everybody will see that, notice it, and judge it. So this is a big social programming that is running in the Western society, in the human society. And it's creating the impossible expectation, so to speak. And the whole media is trying to portray that the standard man should be, perfect fit and very, rich, and the standard woman should be beautiful, like a fitness athlete, and so on. So, these are imprints, and therefore there is an imprinted suffering associated with that. So to find okayness with whatever is happening to you is to recognize that it is okay to have these emotions that you have. It's even okay to have these thoughts in your mind. It's even okay to have physical pains and discomforts. So having this fundamental remembrance, and I would like everyone to remember this at the back of your mind, just put this new program or truth that it's okay to have these thoughts. It's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to have these discomforts or even pains. So that knowledge that it's okay to feel what you feel, to think, to have these thoughts, even negative thoughts, that it's okay to experience what you are experiencing, will remove probably 50% of your suffering, your psychological suffering. So that is the most important step number 1. So that is called being yourself in the ordinary way, in the ordinary way. And why I'm putting so much focus on this? Because if everybody knew that, even the average human person, if they knew this, in their head totally, that it's okay to think that and feel that and experience that, half of the suffering would be removed. Half of the suffering would be already not present anymore throughout the life, throughout the ordinary life, even not spiritual life, non-meditative, just ordinary life. So, of course, as you go into spirituality, you uncover, challenging emotions, the past experiences. You start dealing with them. And again, many people fall into the same trap that they are not okay to, have this past experience, that they're not okay to have, to feel what they feel, that now they're spiritual, they should not feel, angry, or they should not feel sad, or they should not feel this and that. It's the same thing, and it creates the same suffering. Now, going even on a higher non-dual level and self-realized level, there is a big assumption that there should not be any thoughts, and or even that there should not be any I as such, while it might be a simple invitation to slow down and balance yourself. It's the reason why thoughts arise, because your natural system invites you to slow down and balance yourself. Even the I on a higher level arises only as invitation to slow down and balance yourself. So it's actually okay to experience the I at a non-dual and self-realized level. It's okay to have some thoughts. There's nothing wrong with that. You're obviously no longer identifying with that. So why are you resisting that? Yeah, and you see where the trap is, that there is immediate judgment that I should not have thoughts. I should not feel my isness or myself, or that I am anymore. Yeah, and this judgment creates a conflict, inner conflict, that suddenly you are resisting, which is naturally arising, even if it's your identity arising, the past identity, if it's arising, it's fine. Let it arise, let it come, let it go. Yeah, so the true acceptance, or the absolute self, allows everything to be here, to come back here. Even if the past thought patterns arise, that's fine. There is a reason why they came back. Yeah, even if you may have experienced some challenging moment and your past identity seems to, contract and catch you in the moment, it's also okay, because allow that. There is a reason for it. Yeah. And in the absolute sense, there's no more identity. There's no, you even if your body is contracting, your energies are contracting, and you feel this uncomfortable, contraction again, it's also okay. Allow that for a few moments and you will see how quickly it will pass. Yeah, but if there is a judgment that, oh, I'm falling back into my identity, or I should not have these thoughts anymore, since I'm enlightened, I should not feel these feelings anymore. I should even delusionally think that I should not have any pain anymore. It's spiritual delusions. It's wrong assumptions. It's resistance to life. Yeah, and that's called suffering. Self-created suffering. Nobody else does that. Oneself can still create some suffering for themselves due to resistances. Yeah, so for example, for myself, if I get too much active physically, or deal with normal life situations, and people at in a casual situations, wherever they are, some we can say normal old patterns can arise, but there's no resistance. It's fine. There's no more fear that I will forget myself, or I will or that's there's something wrong here. This idea that something wrong is gone, because there is absolute acceptance of myself. Yes, I want to share with everyone that starting from the normal average person, if they would truly get this into their heads, that it's okay to have bad moments, negative thoughts, various emotions. And for all spiritual people, that it's okay to, have what you have. And it's only the avoidance, only the denial, only the resistance that keeps that suffering there, that keeps one bound in a loop of suffering or a certain misery. So the real okayness is to, first of all, mentally have a right mental attitude that it's fine the way that I am. It's fine that I'm angry right now. It's fine that I'm sad right now. It's okay. Let yourself be as you are. And that will be the quickest way to process your experience, whatever is there. That will be definitely the quickest way. You will remove resistance, avoidance, denial, and life will flow through you. Even let yourself, even if you act out conditionally, if you have awareness that, oh, I'm acting out conditionally right now, if you have that awareness, that's also fine. It's okay. Nothing wrong with being a bit conditional for a moment. Yeah? But if there is resistance and judgment, that is a much bigger problem. Yeah, so one of the biggest causes of suffering is self-judgment. Self-judgment. I'm not even talking about judging others. Self-judgment is a big one. And self-judgment arises because of that resistance, that I should not think like that. There should not be these emotions here. So it's like you're saying to the universe that the universe made a mistake right now, and it's ridiculous since it's already like this. Yeah, from a bigger point of view, from a larger point of view. So I invite lovingly and compassionately everyone to hear out, to really deeply allow this way of okayness to sink into you. Yeah, this is called the unconditional okayness. The unconditional okayness. And that way is totally fine. It's totally fine. Maybe a little precaution how it is not fine. Of course, if you're gonna make another excuse, if you're gonna do something, bad or hurt others, and you'll say, oh, that's okay. Obviously it's not, because that's obviously not the way. Yeah, it's not we can say it's not a negative excuse, that it's not an excuse to do something bad and to justify it so that it's okay. Yeah, the unconditional okayness is to, we can say it's this instant awareness that there are these thoughts and it's okay. There are these feelings. Even if you act out unconditionally, if you can, just recognize that it's okay that I just acted it out. And of course, if there are other people involved, you may need to say sorry. I just noticed that I just acted out like this, and I'm sorry about that. And so it will immediately open all the doors. Yeah, it will immediately open all the doors, and it's going to remove half of the suffering of your life right away. Yeah, and it goes to every higher level of self-realization. Because one of the last tricks of the mind, if you're at 999 towards 1,000, a full consciousness, the last trick of the mind will be to judge that I should not have this or that. I should not have I. I should not have identity. I should not have this, or I should not have separation. And that's the paradox of it. That's the last trick of the mind. Yeah, and if you sit down and you say, oh, it's okay to have identity. It's okay to have this last separation. Yeah, and you will see how quickly things will dissolve. Yeah, so it just removes that resistance, denial, avoidance. And that's a very big problem for people in non-duality and in the higher levels of consciousness, because now they're spiritual. And now they should not have this and that. And it's not an authentic awakening. Yeah, it's not the absolute awakening. There's still more work to be done, because something is still denied, resistant, and not allowed, and subconsciously separated. Yeah. So now let's go to the other part of today's meeting is the essence, being myself. And what is this pure essence? So one of the pure essence of being yourself is absolute okayness, that we have covered already. It's the absolute unconditional okayness with yourself, with yourself. Yeah, and of course with others too. If you're absolutely okay with yourself, then you're probably gonna be absolutely okay with others too. Yeah, so coming back to the pure essence of yourself is recognition that you always are yourself. You always actually are yourself. It's just sometimes you're a bit mixed up with the experience that you have. Sometimes you're too much involved in the experience that you have. Or sometimes you're a bit lost in the experience that you have. But the thing is that you always are yourself. And in the most extreme cases, if you will feel that you're not like yourself, how do you know that? Because you still deeply know that you are yourself, and something is not, you're not acting like yourself. So you see, even in the most extreme cases, if you have some, I don't know, paranoia or delusion or whatever, some psychological temporary issue and so on, you would still know that you have an issue and that something wrong is going on right now. And how do you know that? Because you are yourself in your real essence, and that never goes away. It only means that your experience is, extremely, something is a bit wrong, so to speak, or something is very unbalanced, or there's a very big challenge at the moment. Yeah, so only the involvement or being lost in the experience, um, has this uncomfortability of not being yourself. Yeah, but otherwise you always are yourself. You always are yourself, and this, um, it's not even a knowing, it's feeling. Actually, it's deeper. It's feeling that you always are yourself. Yeah, and in the most purest way, you would recognize that I always am yourself, and this isn't just my experience. And this feeling of I am myself is always actually pure upon closer look. It's always actually pure. It's always actually unconditionally transparent. It is always the, we can say, the benevolent, allowing. So in the purest self, or being myself, it is the, we can say, unmixing from experience, from thinking, from feeling, from energies and so on. Well, once things settle down, it's the classical example of, if the lake is disturbed, if there is wind and disturbing the lake, there are waves on top of the surface of the water, there are little waves, and the lake is muddy. Yeah, so you cannot see clearly. Yeah, it's muddy, it's murky, you cannot see clearly. The visibility is very low. Yes, it's very low, maybe just half a meter visibility. But if there is no wind, the waves in the lake settle down, and all the mud settles down, and the visibility is the best. So the same way when it comes to being yourself and the essence of yourself, which is the self, or your consciousness and the pure awareness, or your pure being self, is when things, when the experience, like in the example of the lake, settles down. The surface waves, the emotional stuff, and the energetic stuff, when all that settles down, there is this clarity that I am myself. It's just maybe a little side explanation is that it's not the classical stillness or silence. Yeah, it's a classical, we can say, half truth or half reality. That in a classical way, people think that, you need to be silent, or there needs to be stillness. So people really try to get frozen in silence, or get frozen in stillness, and just not moving at all, and just, if I don't move, if I freeze totally myself, it will be enlightenment, or that emptiness that Buddha spoke about. No, it's not freezing in the moment, and it's not falling into some space where there is no more you in it. Yeah, some people go into the space and they fall into that nothingness, and then a few moments they come back, and oh, now I'm coming back from meditation. I kind of had a little nap there. and they call it, I had a little nap in my nothingness, and that was an amazing spiritual experience where there was no myself, and now I came back from meditation and here I am. So no, it's not that one. It's not that one, no. So the real stillness, we can say, I don't use the word stillness, if you notice often, and I don't use the word silence because consciousness is not silent as such, you know, it just allows the silence, it allows the noise and silence. It doesn't, it's not objective, you know, it always is here, open and present. So the same way your essence, your being is always here, always present. And when your experience calms down, your essence of yourself or being myself shines through. That's the real essence. That when your experience and your involvement, including your resistance and denial and avoidance, so when any sort of involvement with experience, when it calms down, we can call it the unconditional stillness. Then your essence as simply being myself is evident that I am here. It's actually very simple. It doesn't need to be fireworks and some explosions of light and your kundalini shaking and your, you know, what you know, some cosmic experiences and dimension. It's not about that. These are some particular and energetic experiences. So when everything, we can say, when your experience, whatever form it takes, settles down, your natural being, myself, is obvious that I am here. So speaking in a way, it shines through, or it becomes evident that I am here, that I am myself. And that is the self. Yeah, that is the self of which the mystics were speaking. It's actually pretty simple. It's you know, everyone feels the self to a certain degree, and it's only your involvement in experience has a certain covering of it, veiling of it, or simply many times I find the best question to ask, what are you interested in? and you will immediately, instantly see that people will reply to a certain subjective or objective experience. I'm interested in you know, meditation. I'm interested in arts and music and in learning about this or that, or in spirituality. And nobody will say, I'm interested in being myself. I'm interested in just being, in being aware, in being present. Yeah, because it has no objective value to the mind. So that's a little good question to we can say, to test one, just to ask, what are you interested in? And you will mostly find out that it will be something which includes the mind, and skipping the most important thing, the essence of yourself. So at the higher levels of consciousness, people will say, I'm interested in mantras and in devotion, and I'm interested in finding God and in becoming enlightened, which is another, you know, we can say objective goal. I'm interested basically in my goals and seeking and looking and finding that which is objective, even if it's kind of, we can say it's a noble object, you know, to seek for enlightenment, but it's still a mental search because it's a goal. And therefore the simplicity of being yourself and finding your own essence here now is ignored, is overlooked. So therefore one starts to you know, to search, to seek and desire. And then, you know, they start filling up themselves with spiritual desires, And spiritual desires, what are they, guess? They are spiritual desires. They are new forms of desires. They are, we can say, higher vibrational desires. You had your materialistic desires, now you have your spiritual desires. Amazing. You just upgraded your desires. Yeah. And still ignoring simplicity of your essence. Being myself. Just being okay with myself. Yeah, so therefore to summarize is being okay with myself is fundamentally important. No matter at which level of consciousness, it is fundamentally important to be okay with yourself. Remove the judgment. Remove the inner judger, remove the inner critic, and just be okay with whatever is arising in you. Of course, it's better to do it with a bit more present, so to speak, with a bit more meditative approach rather than, you know, you're just on your phone checking Facebook and now, oh, I should be, you know, it's a little bit deeper inquiry. Yeah, you need just a little bit more present to do that, so to speak, to have a bit more deeper contemplative okayness. So that's pretty simple and everybody can do that. And at the higher levels, it's nothing wrong to have spiritual challenges the way you have them. For all of you, I'm telling you. It's nothing wrong if you feel a blockage. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong if you have thoughts. Why not? Why not have thoughts, for example? Well, what's the problem with your thoughts? Unless you are resisting your thoughts, unless you're judging your thoughts, then there is a problem. So it's nothing wrong, really, to feel the way you feel, to have thoughts, to have energetic blockages, disbalances. Nothing wrong to have your past traumas. Nothing wrong to have identity. You know, if you're totally okay with having identity in this unconditional way, you will see how quickly your identity will fall off. Because you'll say, oh, my pride came up, and oh, it's okay. My pride came up, and it's like, oh, it has no more fuel. It just comes up and it goes. It falls off. Yeah, it falls off. If so, any sort of whatever arises in you, welcome it with okayness. Welcome it with okayness. So you will see how quickly things will unwind, get relieved, and fall off, or be processed in a much smoother, effortless, spontaneous way. So that's where this effortlessness arises, continuity, because you're fine with whatever comes up. Of course, then it's about integration. You know, if we speak on a higher level, you know, then there is a certain integration, unconditional, non-dual integration, that the more time you spend being okay with yourself, things arise and fall off, arise and fall, and you polish yourself. That's how you polish yourself. But with this attitude of okayness, it's a much more joyous journey to polish yourself, isn't it? Than resisting and then judging and avoiding and denying. And it's a tough journey like that. It's a very tough road. And sooner or later, I will tell you, you have to drop it. Stop judging yourself and stop thinking that it's wrong to have a thought or identity or a blockage even. Yes, and coming to the essence is when the water settles, your essence is present, and your essence is very simple. It's you feel that you already are. You feel that you already are. Even in the transitory meditation of I am, or simply being, you also, when you are in that place of I am or being, you also know that you are I am, or you are the being for the sake of being. So that intrinsic awareness, or knowing that I am, or I simply am for the sake of being, even that is obviously here in you, and therefore, of course, maturing into I am is very needed to polish up from the lower experience interactions. So it's a transitory state until you come to the absolute I am, or I am that, which is simply being myself. I am that, or myself, which is untouchable, which is pure, which is open, and it's totally okay with what is here. It's fine as it is. There's no more resistance. There's no more identity. Even if identity, it's fine. Identity arose, it's fine, but it arose in me, in my big self, you know, and that's fine. No problem. So yeah, so that is my true and real and honest invitation to be okay with yourself. I hope you're fine with that. Yes. So now let's do a bit of practice. Let's do a bit of practice. Yeah, so I invite you to very naturally, gently slow down, and then just be comfortable as you are. To slow down a bit and allow what is here. If there are any thoughts, that's okay. If there are any feelings, let them be. Any energies or discomforts, let them be here too. And also if something is, if you're having a bit of resistance, just recognize that it's okay to have a bit of resistance. If there is a bit of avoidance, that's fine as well. If you have a bit of some kind of hidden denial, that's okay too, no problem. So just have this taste of unconditional okayness, or total okayness, or the simplest okayness. or being fine with what is here. Being fine with your experience, with yourself. And you will see that your body will start to relax because you are okay, you're fine actually. Your body will start to relax. You might feel that you're becoming more relieved. You might still feel a bit of this old habit of not being okay. Or a little bit of old habit that it should not be like this. An old habit is an old habit. It's fine too. And then in this way, you are actually unconditionally present with yourself. And I invite everyone just to take in what resonates with you. If, you know, I'm speaking to everyone, I'm guiding everyone. If you don't understand something or you can just leave it and just, you know, stay in your own meditation. So this way of being fine with yourself, okay with yourself, is we may call unconditional presence or non-dual presence. Being unconditionally okay the way you are. To recognize that even your personal challenges are, it's also okay to have them the way you have them or the way you had them. And if something else or something new arises, don't be afraid. Allow it. Don't be afraid. Something new or something else arises. Because for a moment you might be in this wonderful peace and okayness, and then something starts to creep in, and you're like, oh no, I don't want that. I don't want to lose my peace. You should be okay with that too, that I'm gonna lose my this wonderful peacefulness now, and it's okay. I can allow myself to lose it because I will remove or I will be present with avoidance or resistance or trying to keep a particular way and then to, of course, resist the other way. So we can say experientially it will be, for many of you, it might be like in and out, in and out, in and out experience. You come into this okayness and something else arises and then like, oh no, it's suddenly I'm not feeling so great anymore. But if you allow that too, you go in and out, and in a bigger sense, that is the unconditional okayness. Even to allow to lose that peaceful moment. It's the unconditional presence, non-dual presence, unconditional okayness. And just have wisdom and trust that in a much bigger sense, you are making a progress even by allowing yourself to lose the moment of peace. In a larger sense, we're still making a good progress. When you're ready, you may start coming back from the meditation. And remembering that when the experience settles down, your natural feeling of myself is present and more obvious. And this natural feeling of being myself is the most important. It is actually the consciousness that we speak of. It is the actual awareness. It is the actual self. So now we have some time for questions and answers. If you would like to learn more or ask about this way or practice of being fine, okay, feel free to do so, and maybe you need to clarify certain aspects of it. Yes, okay, we have Angie.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. My question is I most of the time accept now myself and the unwanted parts. But then I accept a bit too much, I find, so much that I engage in it, the unwanted parts. And then kind of I never let go. And I don't even realize that I'm engaging. How can I get around that?
It is always coming back to your center, we can say. Coming back to the center of recognizing that now you got engaged with the wanted or unwanted. Yeah, so you always need to come back to that, we can say, neutral ground, to the neutral ground, which is your center, but the center is centerless. It's the present space, the present emptiness in which you were engaged with the wanted or unwanted. So just gently remind yourself to come back to the center, to this neutral ground. And you witness yourself that you have allowed so much that now you got engaged with something. And it's okay. And now you can come back to the neutral ground. And this way, by gently reminding yourself to come back to the neutral ground, it is okay if you notice you go here or you go there, you engage with this, you engage with that, but you always gently remind yourself to come back to the neutral ground. And there's no judgment. And if you when you learn to come back to the neutral ground 1,000 times, you will be good at that.
Thank you.
Right. Yes. How is everyone else? You'll say, I'm pretty okay, yeah? I'm pretty okay with myself. Does anyone have any more questions, or you would like to share how it was for you in your experience? Well, in the meantime, until your question arises, I'd like to just make a little announcement that tomorrow we start the 3 days online retreat. Tomorrow, same time like today, we start the 3 days online retreat. And if you are still thinking about attending, or if you have any questions actually about the retreat, or any financial difficulties, but you would still really want to attend it, just send us a message. Yeah, send us a message. You can do so on the New Humanities School website, or even to send an email or a private message. Yeah, so feel free to do so. Yes, and the just a big difference is that in the retreat we will set a space for retreat. Yeah, so it's quite a different feeling than like a weekly Thursday meetings, because here we can say we come and go. We meet for a bit and we go. But in the retreat, it's a whole different energetic setup. It's a whole different connection. It's a retreat space, and interestingly, everyone notices that it's just like being actually in a physical retreat. Many people have said that before, that they were very surprised that they were, even if at home, they felt exactly the same connection and a group feeling like being in a physical retreat. Yeah, so we specifically make this intention to have this time together. Yes. And maybe one little sharing is that all of you have unique challenges, and I really want you to know that it's actually okay to have your unique challenges. Yeah, and I really mean that. I really mean that. Yeah, it's not like just by the way, I really mean that. It's really okay to have these unique challenges. And at the same time, if you think that it's only me who is having this challenge, well, probably there are more people who also have similar challenges. So it's not exclusive, you know, the anger is not exclusive to you. The sadness is not exclusive to you, and maybe some relationship issues are not exclusive to you. So at the same time, you know, it's good to find that middle point, that you don't dramatize, you know, your challenges, but that you also don't feel that it's not okay to have or to be like you are. Yeah, so it's just that middle way. It's just being right in the middle and noticing if you're, you know, going in a one direction of exaggeration, or if you're going into another direction of maybe denial and avoidance. Yeah, so it's always coming back and finding that middle ground, neutrality, and then having some relief. Okay, maybe I was a bit dramatic, or maybe I was making my problems too big and too important, and so on. So yeah, just having that relief. Having that relief is very important. Yeah, having that relief. There is a question about retreat. Is total silence recommended? I will give instructions at the beginning of the retreat. And it's more about your personal balance, really. Yeah, you don't have to isolate yourself from other people. And you know, if you have kids or you know, your spouses, it's all fine. Is just to have a different priority of the inner silence, of the inner balance, and then maybe to, you know, inform your spouse, and that you know, you will be having this retreat and you will dedicate some time for yourself, but we can, you know, have a little chat if we need, or we can do something on some errand if we need to do this or that. It's fine, no problem. It's more about the inner intention and inner stillness. Yes. So it's actually, I could extend it to a day-to-day living, that, you know, it's okay to be with other people, and even people who are unconscious and then less spiritual than you are. You know, it's fine to be with them. You know, it's nothing wrong. We're not trying to create more separations here. You know, we're not trying to exclude other people from your experience. Yeah, so just be with everyone who is with you, you know, and then interact with everyone who is with you. It's all fine. Okay, Adele.
Hi everyone.
No.
Yeah, I really enjoyed tonight. It's something that came up in the monthly Gangaji meditation, where we do a bit of a sharing after it, and it's very much, I feel like in me there was this, like, you know, the bad days, the good days, and all you wanted was the good days, and, you know, or the good parts or the bad parts of you. And I feel like this inner fighter that just is just, yeah, there's like, it's wrong to have good days and bad days, you know, and this okayness softens all of that. That there is literally, this is part of the existence of this being.
Yes.
And, but recently, Mindo, I'm going to be honest, one of my neurosis came for a visit. Well, I basically went to it more so. I went towards this part of myself that's, and it, you know, it really takes over the whole system. the whole system. It's called infatuation and obsession. And yeah, so it's, you know, I'm finding it difficult to be okay with that part, because it literally just takes over the whole day, the whole mental health, everything. And if you have any insight on that, it would be great. But actually, the one insight I did get in the most recent time this neurosis visited, or I invited it in, is I noticed how much I make up, how much of in this infatuation cycle, that actually there's some facts to this particular storyline, and there's really a huge amount of it I actually made up. It's a bit like, you know, you see a rope and you think it's a snake. And then I get nicely neurotic, and then I have to calm myself down.
Yes.
And
yeah, that's where, you know, some past maybe traumas and maybe some nervous system challenges arise, and it's the same way of dealing with it. You know, it's you bring it into your awareness. You recognize the patterns. You recognize that it's not really about the other person or what they said or what they did. You know, even if something wrong happened, you know, the real purpose is to heal, It's not to try to prove somebody right and wrong and so on, because there will be plenty of situations in the future. But what really matters is to heal. Yeah, that's what really matters. Is to heal and to, some of these experiences can be, you know, overwhelming. They can take over, and that's what they do. You know, that's what they do. And if you can just create a little bit more space for it, if you can gently reflect on it, and maybe on a good day, what I also find is that maybe when it's present, it's a bit hard to work on it because it's so present. So maybe when it's a good day, maybe then you could remember, oh, I could work a bit on this particular thing on a good day, because that's where I could do a bit of meditation and to bring it back a bit. It's not present anymore, but now, you know, on a good day, you invite it back a bit, so it's not going to have its strength to take you over, and you can do a bit of healing on it. And therefore, it's very important to kind of saying that you should do the healing and preparations on the good days, because when the bad days comes, the good work that you have done will pay off. Because if you're gonna just do the healing on the bad days only, it's gonna be a much longer process. It's gonna be a much longer and more difficult process. So I would invite you to maybe write it down on certain aspects, challenging aspects. And on the good days, you say, okay, well, now I have some time. It seems it's a good day. And now let me just, work on it a bit, so that I work on my challenges when I am strong, when this challenge doesn't have any effect anymore, when it's kind of gone. And this way it's going to be safe. And so that's one way that you can tackle it yourself. And of course, another way is to have some support, to do the meditation together with someone else. So this way it also is supportive. Of course, this needs to be arranged, but yourself, I found that on the good days, it's good to meditate a bit on the known challenges. And it's nice to maybe read a little bit about, let's say, some trauma healing or some, particular aspects on the good days. It's good to read about it. Maybe watch some videos, And then to do a bit of meditation on the good days. And because you know, I know that logically it doesn't make much sense, because you would say, well, I just have this good day and I want just to enjoy it. Why would I work on my, you know, bad days stuff, you know? But that way it's going to be easier because you are stronger, you're not going to be affected, and the healing will be assisted by your strength. And additionally, I would also always suggest to even invite maybe within you some you know, inner guides. Yeah, within you, when you work on it, okay, you say it's a good day now, and I invite my inner guides to help me to work on what arises in my bad days, and this way you will get even more support. Yeah, and there's a universal law: ask, and then this asking, you know, of support, guidance from anyone, physical or you know, as a in a higher dimension. Asking for support always provides that additional support. So it's a universal law that in one way, maybe I'm touching now another topic, but I just want to say that when it comes to free will versus non-interference, is that, you know, if you want help, you ask for it. Yeah, it's really directly like this in the universe. Of course, the higher beings unconditionally help, but they will not suddenly jump in and interfere with what's going on unless you ask for it. And then you give them permission, just like for your friends. You know, if you give a call to your friend, if you ask for help, well, they come, you know, usually. Yeah, it's just the same way. And if you have a friend and you just, you know, if you don't contact them, well, they don't know what you're going through, and they don't know if they should help you or not, or you can deal with yourself with it or not. So in the universe, it is like this, that you do need to ask, and therefore you will receive it in one way or another. So that would be the advice of how to work on the challenging days, things that come up. Yeah, so this really helps. It really helps.
Just on this, the second part of my sharing, you know, the part of our the part of the story that we've made up, maybe even as a child, and now it's in our nervous system. Okay, by knowing, I have this awareness now that I have to be mindful of what are the facts of what's happening in this story, as far as I can perceive. What is the part that I'm making up?
Oh.
Does that really then, by actually bringing the light of awareness to that, I'm dismantling something big there? Like I'm just...
by bringing the light of awareness to the situation of what are the facts, you are just softening the situation.
Okay.
But to make a bigger difference is to actually go back into the original situation of the probably childhood, and to see that moment of, you know, injustice, or that moment of, you know, maybe, well, it depends on what you experienced there. By going to that childhood story, experience, moment, that's going to make a much bigger effect of healing. And another suggested approach is to even imagine that it's your inner child. Yeah, it's not you, it's your inner child. So bring your inner child in front of you. It's another healing technique to say, okay, so there's this little girl, and just bring her in front and say, well, this little girl had this, you know, experience in the childhood, and allow the inner child to heal. And this really helps because it provides a certain strength and distance and less identity to that challenge, and you're healing this little girl. It's literally, you know, another you of the past. So that also really helps out when it comes to bigger challenges. Yeah, that does help. Okay. Leopold, yes.
I just want to say that after removing avoidance, I feel much younger and alive.
Sweet. Very good, very good.
Yes.
Yeah, the avoidance was old. Yes,
All like
yes. Yeah, you see more freshness comes and more alive.
yes, freshness.
Ah, very good, very good. Exactly, that's exactly what happens, yes. Very nice, very nice. Yes. Okay, everyone. Well, it's been really lovely to meet in this space of okayness with all of you, and to explore some like really honest, you know, authentic processes of this whole complicated spiritual journey. Yeah, so when you kind of break it down, it's quite simple, you know. The things that I share, they're very simple, you know, in a way. It's just, of course, the practice is complicated, you know. It takes practice, it takes time, but these you know, fundamental ways are very simple when you really break it down. So that's the beauty of consciousness, or being yourself, or simplicity. And it's the mind which has complicated everything, and certain, you know, societal programming which has not helped at all, and so on. So in a way, we're coming back to simplicity. We're coming back to being normal, like really normal, you know, not like programmed normal, you know, but being normal, coming back to yourself, being your real self, your authentic self. So coming back to your normal self, and normal, which is, you know, which does not have any more, you know, resistances and judgments and all that stuff. And that's what it's the real meaning of full consciousness and self-realization. And then, of course, you know, the maybe the other portrayals of you know, higher levels of realization, it's integration. That's integration. First, come back to your normal self, and then through integration, some deeper profoundness arises. And many people want to jump into that deep profoundness without doing their work, without, you know, becoming normal, first of all, and having settled into themselves. So you know, everything happens step by step, we can say. And so, you know, take care of yourself, come back to your normal self, to feel really good with yourself, about yourself, and to settle into yourself. And then these deeper, profound moments, they arise from that. First, you know, becoming human, and then you become divine, you can say. You can't jump right into divine before being human at first. So yeah, so step by step, we can say. Yeah, so with much love to everyone, and much gratitude for being you, yourself, the way you are. It's you know, I love you the way you are, all of you. Yes, and let's just have a little moment of appreciation, everyone, then being the way we are. Just a moment of appreciation.